Welcome, welcome. Welcome. We're so glad you're here with us. We'll get started in just a few moments. We will not be entering your name or address. When we get started, I will clarify how attendance is done and how we will interact as a course today. So please just sit back, wait for us to get started, and we will make sure everybody's set and ready to go. Welcome. We'll get started in about 2 minutes. Please review the moving slideshow that's happening. We'll talk about this in more detail once we start at 1 o'clock, but this will help us interact together today. Please only use the question and answer for actual questions and not as a replacement of chat. We'll talk about this more in a moment. Welcome, welcome. Welcome. All right. I'm looking and our participant list is continuing to keep going up, but I'm going to go ahead and get us started in the interest of time. So you'll notice that there is a scrolling reminders, and I just wanted to make sure I clarify. One, you don't need to do anything for your clock hours or attendance. You do not need to type in your name or do anything. You are already being marked as an attendance by being in this Zoom room. That's it. You don't need to do anything else. Recordings of these sessions will be made available in about a week, but we will not be able to give you clock hours for watching the recording. You will only get clock hours for when you are actually in this Zoom room. You can get additional clock hours and more information by attending or registering in our on-demand Canvas course that we will put in the chat for you. That has an additional 6 clock hours available and will let you go at your own pace and will cover most, if not more, material than we have covered today in these live sessions. So just wanted you to know about that. We also want to clarify that we have disabled your camera and your mic so that we can focus on our ASL interpreter that's up in the corner and help with the bandwidth. When we have too many people in a Zoom, it can really slow things down. We would like you to use the Q&A for true questions and not as a replacement of chat. Please don't say thank you or any of those other things, because the people that are monitoring the chat, or not the chat, the Q&A, are trying as fast as they can to answer those questions. And with the other things coming in, it just distracts from making sure that we answer your questions. Let me double check that I have anything else. All right, we will go ahead and get started. So welcome back to day 2 or part 2 of LMS Canvas as a part of the AESD LMS courses. We've had a lot of questions about what is an LMS? An LMS is a learning management system. Canvas is a learning management system. So the LMS that we refer to in this course is all going to be about Canvas. We just wanted to recognize again the land that we are on and remind you to do this with your own students. We want to remind you that you will have this deck, slide deck. It will be posted in the chat if it isn't already, because I have great chat monitors in the background. They come from this team, and when you get this, you will be able to click on any one of these names and directly email them with your questions or other things that you need. So know that there's support. Today I have several people on the line with me. I have Andrew. Would you like to reintroduce yourself or say hi?
Sure. I'm Andrew Hickman. I'm from Capital Region ESD 113 and looking forward to working with you today. And I am a co-presenter.
We have several others. Darcy's with us. I believe that Amy's with us. Catherine's with us. There's several other people. So know that although you may only see 1 or 2 faces on the screen, there's a large team of people to support you during this session, as well as in the future. Yesterday, in part 1, we just walked through the basic environment. What were all those buttons? But we didn't go into detail about what those buttons do. We just walked through the environment. We also set up our first course, and we talked about managing or adding people within the course. Today, our focus is going to be all around managing and organizing our Canvas course. We will touch on assignments and different pieces that we can add within our course, but we are not going to go into assessments or communication with parents or students at this time. That is tomorrow. I see a lot of raised hands, and just know that we aren't able to monitor those raised hands right now. If you have a direct question, please put it in the Q&A. As I just mentioned, we're going to go into the logistics and activator, which we'll do the activator in just a second. We kind of went through the logistics just now. We're going to deep dive into organizing of our Canvas. We'll touch a little bit on how that might look for elementary versus high school. We'll talk about content and materials and resources, although on this slide deck may not get touched on today. They will go over them in greater detail tomorrow. All right, Andrew, can you take away our Zoom poll?
Of course. So what we would like to do today is I'm going to be hosting a Zoom poll. And a Zoom poll is a way that you can access your students' knowledge through using a Zoom feature. Zoom polls are best set up if you do it in advance. Now, for our poll today, we're going to ask, what was your exploration like with accessing, creating, and inviting others last night? So as you left the series yesterday, we encouraged you to go trying to get into your Canvas instance and seeing if you could invite others, access, or create your own course. So we just want to get a couple pieces of feedback. And then number 2, what are you most excited to learn today? So I'm going to launch the poll. We would like you to take it. It will pop up on your screen no matter what device you're on, and just click your responses. And then we will share the results in a few minutes. Here we go. So go ahead and click your responses. What I love about using a Zoom poll within Zoom is we already have 200 responses, and it's been 18 seconds. We're now at 300 responses. So far, what I'm noticing within the Zoom poll is about half of us, about 60%, either didn't get a chance or were able to just dabble a little last night. Down below, what they're most excited to learn today is kind of a three-way tie between effectively using their learning management system, how to organize materials, and begin planning. So that will help us today as we guide through this. And I'm going to leave this open for about another 30 seconds because we're almost have all of our results. We have over 86 people have replied. 86%. I do want to highlight that we have 9% who say they are rockstar status. They're ready to go with Canvas and be able to help share this with your colleagues, which is a great practice. If you say you're rockstar status, you can definitely help support others inside your network and be there for them. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and share the results so you can see how it went. Here we go. So you should be seeing the poll results now. You'll notice it highlights the ones with the most responses. And so overall, we're looking forward to learning how to keep organizing our materials today. And Christina, I think that will help when we're working in our learning management system.
It definitely will. And I know that I reviewed some of the questions from yesterday, and hopefully we'll get to them today as we go through our organizing of materials.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing the results and we'll get back to our learning management.
Yes. So we are going to, just a brief reminder that we have provided some links for you to frame your thinking, again, around your frameworks and universal design, social emotional learning, and culturally responsive teaching. We intentionally added this back into the slide deck for day 2 so that you always have it handy and top of mind, because we know no matter what you do in Canvas, if we don't attend to these needs first, it won't be successful. All right, we're going to dive directly into the tool right now. I am going to take us into our learning management system, LMS, for Canvas. I am in my Canvas instance. Remember that you must make sure you're in your Canvas instance, the one that you will be using with students. That is going to be designed by your district. If you are taking any of our on-demand classes that we've mentioned before, you will also have to have an account inside this Canvas instance, which is our AESD Canvas instance. I am going to create this class so that I can go ahead and share it with my students. Okay, so you'll notice that I am on my dashboard. I have my published courses at the top, and then at the bottom I have my unpublished course. Unpublished means that nobody can see it. I'm working on it, I'm building it in the background, and nobody can register for it or do anything else.
Do a quick demo of publish and unpublish just real quickly.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Andrew, go ahead and say that again, or maybe answer your own question for me.
Could you just do a quick demonstration of how to publish and unpublish, because we had that as a question.
Awesome. So you see right here on the top left-hand corner of my tile, I have the click button to publish. There's a couple other ways to do this, but just from here I can click publish. And publish means it's live and ready for people to engage in the course. And now it moves it up here. If I go back to my I go back in and click on my course, and I've changed a few things for you. I can go in and I can unpublish the various places. And hold on, my screen is not giving me the button.
It should be at the very bottom of your homepage.
That's what I thought, but I set a homepage as a page.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm not getting there. So let me change that really quickly.
Oh, you had it.
Did I?
Yep. Since you enlarged your screen, it moved to the right side.
Okay, so now I should be able to unpublish my course. Where did it go?
Click back on home.
Sorry, Andrew, thank you.
No problem. There it is.
There it is. Now I have my unpublished button. So since I was so awkward with that, I'm gonna walk through that one more time to make sure everybody gets it. I apologize. This will happen. Okay, so I'm at my dashboard. It is down in the unpublished button. I can click the button right here and publish it. That makes it live. Students can interact with it. They can participate. To unpublish it, I need to go into the course. And now that my screen's the right size, I can see my unpublished and published button at the top right-hand corner. So I can go ahead and unpublish this now. It takes the click of a button for that to happen. So you can go back and forth very quickly with publishing or unpublishing. I can also publish or unpublish various modules that I have set up, assignments, pretty much anything I want, I can publish or unpublish. Publish, live, people can use it. Unpublished, hidden in the background, I'm working on it. All right. So I wanted to go and point out what I have done here. So you noticed yesterday I only had modules. And that's because I had wanted to set up a pretty much a straight line for how this course is going to work. I may want to set up prerequisites. You must do X before you get to do B. This helps me have a linear focus, but I may also want to set it up in different ways. And one of the ways that I set it up last night as I was playing in here is I set up a home page. And when I set up a home page, I was able to make it a little bit easier for younger students to engage. So you notice that there are these big, large buttons. And if I click on this large button, it's going to take me directly into the modules. I assigned it as the home page by going into my course, sliding all the way down to settings. In the navigation tools, I was able to remove by dragging and dropping whatever I don't want to show up on the side. Remember, that gives me that little hidden icon there. I can see it, I can access it, but the students cannot see it. And for the home page, I needed the home page to be my landing. So back to my home page. I am able to do that from the right-hand side. See this where it says choose home page? We talked about this a little bit yesterday. I choose home page, and that's where I can choose that they land in the activity stream, they land in the course materials, where are they going to land? And yesterday, this was grayed out. This was grayed out because I had not added any pages to my course. Once I added a page, I was able to select this as my landing page. So let me go into the student view so that you can see what the students would see. Remember, I can get a student view from the right-hand side. Again, I click student view. I know I'm in student view because I have this nice pink banner at the bottom. If I want to leave student view, I click leave student view. But you can see now when the student logs into this course, they are going to land on this page every time they select home and also when they default into the class. They can go down to modules by clicking on the left-hand side menu, or since this teacher had created, because obviously I'm not Mr. Casey, he had created buttons, the student could click on this button right here and it would get them to the same location. The modules on how I'm organizing the day and the course. I'm going to leave student view. Come back. We are inside the modules right now. Again, I can go to home to go back to the page that I've set up for students. How do I get a page? A big question came out about this yesterday is, my district has given me a template. How do I access it? You're going to access it from the comments. Remember on the left-hand side, we have comments at the bottom. And it takes a second to load because there's a lot in there. I can search within comments. I can import a template that I was given. I can share information and I can filter. So I'm going to go to filter. and I'm going to go to Pages. And I just want a template, meaning that I want to be able to change it, do something different with it. I can select a grade level if I'm looking for a specific one. So I can go to like 4th grade, but it will show me other things. It's not going to filter out anything that says 6th grade like here. When I look at these various templates, so let's pull up this one here. And it's building. This is one that another teacher has created. These are buttons that link to the course's different navigation. And if I want to use this, my trick has been to add it to my favorites. Yeah, I want to make sure that star's checked. Or I can import or download. I just added it to my favorites. I went back to my course using the course navigation button. And then when I go to Pages, even though the kids can't see Pages, I can edit Pages, I can create Pages, and since I set the home button as Pages, the students don't need to see that word along the side. And then I can go ahead and edit. I can name this different things, I can go in and change it, but if I wanted to add that new file, that new Pages template that I just found, I'm going to click this bright green button or green button on the left-hand side. And I'm going to click Add a Page. I could start from scratch here. Go back one more. Yep, leave it. It's okay. Or if I, hold on, back to View Pages. Or if I come over here to these 3 dots, I have my common favorites, my commons favorites. That's what I favorited that last one. And I can grab it. And now it's in my Pages. And I could use this as a page for something else. So you can have pages for different subjects. So if I'm a 5th grade teacher, I could have a page for math, and I could have a page for history, and I can have a page for whatever subject. And as I work and edit and create this page, I can link it to whatever things I want. So you can see on the side here, there's already some link buttons. So if I click on Submit Attendance and linked it to attendance, or announcements, if I click right on here and select announcements, I can have it, I can pick, I can go over to other ones. I also, because this is an editing window, and I want to increase my size again, I can't delete any of this. I don't like that one. I want to change this to something else. Now, this is an image that a teacher has created outside of Canvas and placed inside here. You will notice that you have all sorts of tools in here to create your page. You can add images, you can add links, you can add media that you've recorded somewhere else. You can change the font and the size. You can link to YouTube. I have Quizlet linked in here as well, and I can make a table. I can also decide who can edit this page. I can have it be only the teacher, teachers and students, maybe we're building it together, or anybody can edit this page. When I go down to the bottom, after I'm all done working on changing things, look, I have files that I can move over here. I have images. I can search Flickr. Flickr is going to be a copyright-free thing to look at for copyright-free images, but I can find them anywhere else. There's a lot of favorites. I think Pixel has some, and Pixabay, so I can use a lot of things here.
So Christina, can we just take a minute and pause?
Yes.
What I would like to simply address is a few things. First off, Commons. Commons is something that needs to be turned on at a district level and give you access as a teacher. The first time you go to Commons, it will be located on the left when you have it open. Commons is a resource sharing platform. you have to accept their license agreement, which basically says this is public data. We had questions about copyrights and things yesterday. Most of these are copyrighted to have open access for editing. If they are copyrighted with complete copyrights or attribution, they allow you to put them in your course. Now, what Christina displayed was simply how to search for a home page if you wanted to use that as a template, but there are tons and tons and tons of other resources here that you can add into your Canvas instance, from entire modules, which describing a module is this. A module is a pack of resources, assignments, discussions that you want your students to go through. You can edit them in any way you want. You can organize them in any way you want. So a module has kind of everything put into one. It is one of the ways to organize your course, if you choose to organize it that way. Pages are things that students can view, and unless you give them permission, they can't touch. So we were using Pages as a home page, as your landing spot. And so what Christina showed is what is available in everything within Canvas on that right-hand side when you're in edit mode. If you're in a page or a discussion or an assignment, when you click edit, on the right-hand side, you're going to have a menu. That menu, those are links, and that's a shortcut for you to add links to anything in your Canvas course, as well as files. If you click files at the top, it's a quick way to add files into your Canvas course, or images, which she showed is a quick way to search free, copyright-free images 99% of the time through Flickr. And once they're in, you'll have those available every time you use your course. That main piece right there is simply a spot to type. And luckily, with a homepage that she already found, the work's kind of done for you because of the comments. So that's what we just went over. We had seen some questions in the chat just to re-go over it.
Oh no, thank you for a recap. That was a great recap. And anytime, please interrupt me and make sure that we are being as clear as possible. Okay, so this is the pages, just as Andrew recapped how I got here and what I was using it for. You do not have to use Pages as your home page. This is just one way to organize a course. And as I was reviewing the questions and answers yesterday, there were a lot of questions about making it more user-friendly or student-friendly for younger students. So Pages can definitely help with that, including the buttons. And there's a lot of resources out there. If you don't have Commons, you may also have been given a template from your district that you can upload into a Pages. So let me view my Pages one more time. And you notice that I could go ahead and click Page. And then I still had all of those features and the files and the images. And I could start from scratch here. All right. Now,
before you move on, there's a question in the Q&A here with, what's the difference between a page and a module?
Oh, that's a great idea. So a page is just like what we saw. So let me go back. I'm going to cancel. Yep, don't want to create that. If I go back over to my home button or Pages, a page is kind of a landing space. Think of this as creating your own Word doc or Google Doc or slideshow. You get to organize it however you want. It's a free space for you to type and add and edit different things. Within Pages, you can link to other things, just like we saw these buttons do. In a module, which is where I'm going next, modules still work within the home page, within Pages, but it's more organized like this. So I have, in my case, I went with day 1 and then day 2. You could have it by subject, you could have it by unit. It's really up to you. I wasn't super creative in thinking of module names within this. This would be the view that our middle school and high school students might find the most useful, where this home page might be more user-friendly for our littles, or maybe just an easier way for students to access and navigate into the different pieces within your course. So as I go into modules, you can see yesterday I had set up a module for day 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go up to this button at the top. You'll notice that right next to it is this view progress. And we'll talk about this a lot more tomorrow in detail. But if I actually had students in here, I could click view progress and I could see my student Catherine here. She's completed day 1 and she's completed day 2. I didn't set up any parameters for that, and I'm not even sure she logged in. So I'm going to have to look at that a little differently. I also added a student for Christina, or Christy, my alter ego, and I could see her progress on this as well. Back to the module button on the left-hand side. I'm going to go to this plus button, and this allows me to add a module. I can name it whatever I want to, so I'm just going to go with day 3 just to be consistent with my modules. If I select this lock and tell button, I can lock this module to show up, not show up until a certain time. So I can say I want it to show up on Friday and I want it to be ready by 8 a.m. I can edit this and change this whenever I want to. So once I lock it, doesn't mean that I can't unlock it and change the date. If I wanted to lock it until then, I can, or I could unlock it. I can have both, but right now I'm going to go into the add prerequisites. So I don't want a student to just be marked they did it without making sure that they have received some certain prerequisites that I want them to do. So I'm going to click add prerequisites, and you see that I can choose, select a module. I want to say that module 2 has to be complete. I also want module 1 to be complete before they can go in there to the next one. Within the modules, I can also set to make sure each of the activities or assignments or discussions has been complete as well, and we'll look at that in more detail. Notice that I can keep adding as many prerequisites as I need. I can also come over to this X and get rid of one. I can change these prerequisites at any point in time. So now I'm going to add a module. So you see that everything is green on the side. Those are the published. Remember, I can unpublish or publish each piece of this, helping my students walk through. What was first? What was second? What do I need to do next? Baby steps. So now you can see day 2 is, or day 3 is down here, but I don't have anything built inside day 2's module. I can add things within day 2's module by coming over to the plus button. And this is where I can add an assignment. I can add a quiz, which we'll go into tomorrow. I can add a file. I can add a page. Again, we looked at those pages that for the landing, but I could also add a page that maybe is for a specific project. I would need to make sure students could access pages somehow, whether I linked it in to something else or I made pages show up in that navigation bar on the left-hand side. I can add a discussion. A discussion would allow students to respond and then respond to a prompt and then respond to each other's. I can lock it in different ways. We'll go into that more. A text header. I like to use text headers to separate what needs to happen in that module. Here is the background independent learning. Here is the quizzes and assignments. Here is any instructional videos that you may need. So it's just a way to break it up. I can include an external URL. This is just a link that's not within Google, or not within Canvas, sorry. And then I have external tools, and we'll talk about external tools more tomorrow as we get into the grading and connecting it with other things. So let's go ahead and just make an assignment. I have an assignment already loaded in here so that I could always click that, or I can click new assignment. I need to give it a name. So I'm going to say this is a PBL project outline. In the indention, I will go I'll set an indention and then I'll show you how it makes it look. So I'm going to go ahead and give it an indention of 1, and then I'm going to add this item. I haven't gone in further to make the assignment. I'm just adding it to the module right here. So now you see it shows up. I said I was going to talk about that indentation. So over in the top 3 corners, I can increase the indent or decrease the indent. It just kind of, if you look up here, it's how it lays it out. Like I said, I like those text breaks and then to put the resources underneath of it. But that's a personal preference. You may decide that you don't want those text breaks in between. Now, since this module is not released for them until they have done day 2 or day 1, let's show you what the students can see. And actually, I'm just going to unpublish that. And then we'll go into student view. And this, my student view should be up on the right-hand side. And my screen, there it came back. So now I'm going to go to student view. And in my student view, I'm going to navigate to modules, or I could have hit the button. And you will see that day 3 doesn't even show up because they haven't done day 2 or day 1, as well as I didn't publish day 3. So that's nice because on a Friday afternoon, I can build in all the things for the week and keep them unpublished until I'm ready to release them to my students. So now I'm going to leave student view again, and that's at the bottom. And since I've set my home button as a page, that's why the student view menu doesn't come up. It only comes up when I'm in the home view. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my modules. Now that I have added an assignment, I need to go in and be specific about what that assignment needs to do or what I want the students to do. So let me click on the assignment. Notice that I hadn't put anything in it, just has a title up at the top here. And it's published, so I'm going to unpublish this while I work on it. I have 3 dots here. I can send this to students. I can copy this to another course. And I can share this to Commons. Remember, Commons is that resource depository built inside Canvas that your district needs to turn on or off. And it allows me to share my work with others. So if I was working with a PLC, I could build a course out and I could share it to Commons and my teachers could come and get it, or I could send it to them. We're going to work on the assignment right now. I'm going to go up to edit. It's that pencil tool. Anytime you see the pencil tool, that's edit. You notice that now that I'm in the edit, just like Andrew had pointed out before, I will always have the links here. I will always have files, and I will always have images. That helps me build out my assignment. This area is where I can set the directions. I can include links. I could include a video. So there were some questions about our non-readers. I could record a video and place it right inside here of what the directions were for this assignment and all of the details. I can come down here and I can assign points. So I can go ahead and say, this one's going to be worth 10 points. But do I want this to be a group assignment? How do I want my grades to display in the grade book? We'll go into this in more detail tomorrow, but let's go ahead and see. I can do it by percent, complete, incomplete, points, letter grade, GPA scale, or not graded. I'm going to select not graded right now. Even though I assess points, I can come back up here and change that. It will not auto change if I select not graded and my points say 100, that's not going to change to 0 automatically. Now that I need to assign it, I can assign it to everyone, or I can assign it to a section of this course, which we will go over in a minute, or I can assign it to a specific student. And I can add as many people in here as I want to. This would be a way for me to differentiate who gets what assignments. And let's go and just give that to Christy. You notice that I have a due date here. I can set a due date. So let's say I want it due by Friday. It defaults to midnight, but I can change that at any point. I could say I want it done by 3:30, end of school on Friday. I'm going to give them time to work on it in class. Then I can decide if I want, when do I want to make this available? This is the way that I can set it to automatically show up for students on a certain time. So I'm going to go ahead and pick, oh, nope, I want it to be available tomorrow. And how long is it going to be available for them to submit an assignment? Yeah, I'll give them an extra week in case it's late. Notice that I can go to add. I could do this to different sections. So this is a way for me to add to another section within my course and set a different due date and a different ability. So sections are like class periods within your larger Canvas, and we'll talk about that.
Christina?
Yes.
A couple questions on if you could possibly make this current assignment require to be a video.
So we need to have a, submissions, and I was just wondering where my submission button was, and I think, I'm not sure why it deleted, it's missing. So let's go back into one that I've already created to make sure that we're looking at the right things. Let's go to assignments. I already created this assignment here. I'm gonna click edit. And as I scroll down, I have submission types. And submission types, I can choose no submission. There's nothing to turn in. Online. On paper, meaning they would be drawing it out on paper or creating it and handing it to me in some form physically, or an external tool, which again, we'll go into more detail tomorrow. I've selected online submission. And if you look, I have options. I can let them just type into a text box. I can let them give me a URL to a Google Doc or a Microsoft 365 file. I can have them do a media recording. So that means they're going to record a video directly within Canvas to submit. I can also let them upload files, and I can restrict what kind of files they upload so that I can be sure that I can access those files and have the right setup. So if I click restrict file types, this is where I can start adding in file types like doc. I always have a problem viewing docx files, so I don't want any docx files to be uploaded. I can toggle off and only allow them to turn in a media recording. They could record it live, or they could turn in the media piece could be pre-recorded and added. I can change how many submission attempts they have. Can a student resubmit more than once? Or do I want to limit it? And how many times am I going to let them resubmit their assignment? Am I going to give them 2, 3 times? Or am I going to give them unlimited retries, or just one? You get one attempt at this. This is a final project. We've been working on this. This is going to be used as a summative assessment. So it's up to you. I can assign this as a group assignment, and I can set up groups in the People's tab that we looked at yesterday. So if I made this a group assignment, then I would have to pick which group. And I made small groups already and assign grades to each student individually. So even though it's a group assignment, I can give grades to each student individually if I want to, or I can give grades as an assignment, as a group. I'm going to uncheck that. This require peer review shows up, and I'm going to select that. Manually assigned peer reviewers are automatically assigned peer reviewers. Manually means I set up who's going to review your work. Automatically means we just let Canvas figure it out. It's kind of like roulette, random pick. This here, peer review appears anonymously, lets the reviewer review things, but we don't know which student in the class is reviewing it, so they become anonymous. Again, we have the assign piece that we've talked about, the other assign piece, and now that I've made all these changes, I need to click save. Once I've saved it and it's published, I have speed grader and peer review show up on the right-hand side, sorry. Speed grader allows me to grade all submissions very quickly, and we'll go through that more tomorrow. And again, I had selected peer reviews, so now I'm going to be able to assign peer reviewers, and this is how I would do it manually underneath. I'm gonna go back to my assignment, and I know there's a question at this point, so I'm gonna pause before I show the student view of the assignment.
So just to recap, what you just did is made it where this assignment will only accept media, which means they will record a video within Canvas, because Canvas has their own video recorder that you can use. It will auto upload for them, or if they have a pre-recorded video that they want to put in, they could grab a file. This also allows you, if you allow that submission type, to take a picture and upload it as a submission, correct?
Correct. And we're going to see that as the student view. So I'm going to go back to my home menu because that's where my student view button is. I'm going to select student view. I'm ending up on that landing page because I've set that up in how I organize my course. And now I'm going to go over to assignments. And this is what this student will see. They'll see the upcoming assignments and they see the assignments. We're going to click on the assignment. And we're going to see all the directions that I've written in here. And now I'm going to be able to submit my assignment. When I click submit assignment, because I said you could only record or upload media, that's the only options they have. So if I go ahead and click record, it's going to go ahead, and I have more than one camera, so I'm going to choose my camera. Now you get to see my real house, and I would be able to start recording right here. I have a button to start over. I also have a microphone on the stop. It doesn't have a lot of editing features. Once I have this, I can rename it and save. I could also have gone in and uploaded. So I can select an audio file or a video file, meaning that it must be an MP4, MP3, .mov file. It cannot be a doc or an image because that's how I set it up. Okay. I can add direct comments to the teacher right here. Only the teacher will see this. If you have more than one teacher in the course, they all have access to this. You may also have a TA or somebody else who has access to assignments. Remember, there's a lot of roles. And yesterday we shared a link with you about those roles. We may be able to add that to our chat window right now. I'm going to go ahead and leave student view now. And I'm back in as a teacher. I can see that I've assigned this to both of my sections. How I added sections is I go into settings. And when I load into settings, you will see that I have course detail at the top here. This is where I can add an image. So I added a sandbox image just because I named this sandbox. I can rename my class. I can set my time zone. I can set when this class starts and when this class ends and how students can interact or not interact with this course. And then across the top here, I also have sections. And I have 2 sections here, but we can show you how to add them. Sections is I'm teaching 4 periods of biology. I don't want to have 4 Canvas courses for biology. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and add some sections. So I'm going to go ahead and click section. Oh, I didn't type anything in yet. So I'm going to go ahead and say section 3, or to be more clear, I'm going to do period 3. Add the section. To go into the section, I'm going to go click right on it, or I have editing. That's just to change the name. And this is where I can put it where I need to put it in. There's no enrollments right now because I don't have any students in this section. Sections allow me, like we saw in the assignments, it allows me to set different due dates for different sections. It also allows me to have different assignments and discussion and quizzes, and it allows it to display differently in the grade book as well. Pausing for a second, I'm sure we have some questions as we only have about 10 minutes left in our session today.
Christina, I wanted to bring up a couple of things that are in the Q&A. And I've seen several questions about standards-based grading, which, as I know that would probably be something that maybe your district would have to set up. Do you have any insight on that for our participants?
Yes, that's going to be a very district level decision, and that's something we'll dive into more tomorrow in day 3 as we focus on assessments and gradebook. Most of the grading is going to be district dependent.
We had another question, just to reiterate. Can you change the due date for an individual student?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up. Can I change a due date for an individual student or for an individual section?
Student.
Okay, so I would have to do that within the assignment. I would have to, within the editing button of the assignment, when I scroll down below, all the way down, that's part of this assign to. So I could go down to this bottom portion and assign to Christy only. And then I can change the due date. She can have a separate due date than the rest of the class. Does that answer the question?
Yes, I believe that's what they were asking.
All right. Any other questions as we think through our time together?
Yeah, there's a couple questions about anonymous reviewer. So would it be anonymous for the teacher as well, or will the teacher be able to see who's reviewing who?
The teacher will be able to see who's reviewing who. It's just the student would not know who's reviewing them, so that there wouldn't be any conflict. If, say, the person that was getting the feedback didn't like it, they wouldn't know who gave it to them, but the teacher would.
We're getting a lot of questions around Skyward and integration with Gradebook, but I just want to reiterate that we will be covering grading more tomorrow. Tomorrow, that is one of the focuses.
Yes, and that's going to be very district heavy, and we may not be able to answer all of the Skyward or school information system connections because that's per district and is set up by the IT team and not something a teacher can quite change without district approval. Okay. Any other questions at this time?
There's been a couple questions about putting a video up yourself as a teacher. So how to upload a video for students to watch.
Okay, so I'm going to deal with that in the announcements. And I actually did this last night. I created one here, but I'll create another one on the spot. So I'm going to click announcements. And within the announcements, I can title my announcement, and I can go right in here to insert media. I can embed it. I could say the source. I have advanced features here. So that's if I pre-recorded it. Going back to my announcements button, show you what I did last night. So I have posted this announcement. And right there within it, I created a little video in my announcement page. So let's show you what that looks like in the background. So this link will be replaced with the preview icon, is what's there in the back portion of it. And insert media. I'm finding my button. This is my button right here. It's kind of weird looking. It looks like a little rounded rectangle, and it has a play button inside of it. If I select this button, I can record directly from my webcam, just like I showed before, on student submission. I can also upload from a file source as well. So it's a really handy, nice way to get announcements. We know that students attend better to video than they do to written directions. And I highly encourage you to include video explanations within your assignments and announcements as much as possible. You do not have a virtual background screen inside that function within Canvas. So if you want a virtual background, you might want to record in Zoom, or you might want to record in another platform and upload it within Canvas. Okay, other questions, because I know there's a ton in the question and answer box.
There's a lot of questions around sections, and it involves with how do you add students to certain sections, as well as how would a district know which section to put students in?
So the district will have to decide how they're going to quite do that. But now I've labeled my tab. So it says everyone, I'm in the people on the left-hand side. On the tab here, I have said small groups. That's just because I named it small groups. And then I have been able to add some teams in here. That's the small groups, not my section. I'm sorry. Let me go back out. Settings. Sections are here. Andrew, will you remind me where I can put my people in there?
So yeah, so if you go there,
Yes.
go edit section,
There we go.
and then you should be able to add people with current enrollments, but you need more people in your class because the people you already have are in a section.
Yeah, I don't have any other people, so I would have to add another person.
So, and then also under people tab, you could move them into sections as well.
People. And so I can go over here to Christy, and you see Christy is in the sample course. She's not in section 2. I can add her by going over to these 3 dots on the right-hand side, and I can edit sections. I can deactivate this user. I can edit this user's role and make them a TA instead of a student or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and click Edit Sections, and I'm going to type in period 3. And I add period 3. She's in the main course, and she's also in period 3. And I'm going to update.
Yep. The power of sections is really around the modules as well as assignments. You can assign and just create entire modules just for the people that see those sections. So yeah, in the overall class, but they're really also just for those sections, which means you can differentiate the modules for different students, as well as individual assignments, discussion posts, test quizzes, everything.
Yeah, I could make a section that is just for one student and totally differentiate their interaction and personalize their course. Nobody else would see what was in that section. I can also see a section built for supporting our special education students, our ELL students, and other teachers being placed in those sections. So sections are very powerful.
And I just want to talk about organization really quick. A lot of these are organization structures. For example, having a home page versus taking the modules or taking them to a syllabus, having sections versus having multiple courses. Really, those are decisions you should make with your school district because you want it consistent for your students. So you need to have those discussions with your team. How are they going to organize it? And really have the discussion on what it would look like. Canvas lets you choose multiple ways to do it, so it's really up to you.
Yeah, and I couldn't reiterate enough talking with my team and making sure that we're all on the same page, because I would hate for a student to be in my course and then go into another course and it's set up completely different and they're confused. So consistency, 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 and communication is something I can't stress enough. And that leads us to about 3 minutes left in our session. We wanted to make sure that you see that we have some resources here that we've added. We will talk about these more in depth, but I really wanted to point you to the C-STEP Teach Tech project, which has a Facebook page for Canvas questions, which are being answered by smart people all over the world, including all over Washington, including myself. And you can get in the moment, answer your question, explain what you're typing into our question and answer, and somebody on Facebook in that group will help answer it. So I wanted to point that out. We also want to end our session today again with the reflection link. It'll be slightly different than yesterday, but remember that we want to collect as much data as we can about how we can improve these courses and what we can do next. I believe it's been placed in the chat. I know that it comes up often. When will these recordings be available? Give us about a week and we will have them available. They will all be placed on our LMS series AESD page. They will be somewhere here and we'll be very obvious about it. And again, this is where you can register for that on-demand Canvas course as well. So you could add another 6 clock hours to your LMS Canvas exploration, as well as get more on your own pace when you need it help. They're broken into short little 5-minute videos about one specific thing. So I just wanted to make sure to share that with everyone. I know that your brains are exploding and we get it. Thank you so much for being here. We look forward to working with you again tomorrow. And please know if we didn't get to your questions today, we will do as much as we can to answer them tomorrow or reach out to you with other resources. And now I wave.